guys, and welcome to the Cardiac Rehab Standing Series. This series consists of 6 standing circuits designed to help improve your fitness, strength and overall health following a cardiac event. The sessions are designed to progress on from one another, and as you move through the different sessions, the exercise intensity and time will gradually increase. We'll start at session 1 with 10 minutes of cardiovascular exercise and progress through to session 6, which will be 30 minutes of continuous cardiovascular exercise. The idea is to pick the level that you feel comfortable exercising at, and we're going to use the RPE scale to determine that. So it's really important that before you do these exercises, you watch the video on the RPE scale to understand how you should and shouldn't feel during exercise. Ideally, for the main exercise component, we want you to score an RPE of around 13 to 14. The time to move on to the next session is when you consistently RPE below 13 and the exercises feel quite easy. Equally, if you're scoring RPEs of above 14 and you're finding the exercises quite difficult, you can move back to the previous workout. All of the exercises can be made harder by using things like dumbbells, tins of beans, bottles of water or resistance bands for extra resistance. Ideally, we'd like you to complete these exercises around 3 times per week, moving on to the next session when you feel comfortable. We'd like you to also incorporate a few other types of workout during that time. Things such as walking or other exercise sessions might be appropriate. So for today's circuit, we're going to do a 10-minute circuit, and we're going to do 1 minute per station with a 20-second rest. We're going to have a warm-up and a cool-down, and it's really important that no matter what exercise you do, you always incorporate a warm-up and a cool-down. Equally, it's really important to only exercise if you feel well enough to do so. And if you have any questions or queries or any concerns regarding any of the exercises that you see, please contact a member of the cardiac rehab team prior to exercising. Please read the following safety information carefully. Okay, so let's get started with the warm-up then. We're going to start with some heel digs. So we're just tapping the heels forwards and backwards. Nice and steady, nothing too strenuous to begin with. We're just tapping right to left, bringing the heels out and then back in again. So for the warm-up, we're keeping the intensity quite light, and we want to score an RPE of around 11. So we're going to keep this going, keep the feet moving. Just under 30 seconds left, and then we're going to switch. And for today's workout, the only thing that you'll need is a dining chair and maybe some weights if you wish to add those in. Okay, so in a few seconds we're going to take it to a side tap. We're going to start with the right toe, tapping out to the side. Okay, so we tap out and back in. Just tap to wherever feels comfortable. You haven't got to overstretch on any of these. And if it is feeling difficult, just slow the intensity and slow the pace down. Okay, so it's really important that no matter what exercises you do, you always incorporate a good warm-up. It helps to increase the heart rate a bit, get the body a bit warmer and improve the coronary circulation, so it's really important. Okay, so we're going to keep this going, and the next one we're going to go into a march. So in 10 seconds we're just going to take it to a steady march on the spot. Okay, and then into a march. So we're not marching too fast with this, and we're not lifting the knees too high. We're just keeping it steady to begin with. Keeping those feet moving. And if you need to take a rest during any of the exercises, Make sure that you keep your feet moving. Don't stop all of a sudden. So if you need to feel like you need to stop and catch your breath, just keep your toes moving, keep a march going, or a heel tap, something like that. Okay, so we're going to keep this march going for another 15 seconds, and then we're going to go back into the heel dig. So we'll repeat those again, starting with the right leg. And as we move through the exercises for a second time, we're just going to increase the pace ever so slightly. Okay, so let's tap the right foot forwards, and now the left. If you want to add a little swing in with the arms, you can do, whatever feels comfortable. And when we're warming up and cooling down, we don't want to use any weights at this point. We'll save those for the workout. And we'll just keep it nice and steady and gradually increasing the pace and the intensity. Keep that march going, keep those heels tapping. Doesn't matter if you get your coordination a little bit mixed up as long as you're moving. And again, in a moment, we're going to go back to the side taps. So we're going to take the right toe out to begin with and alternate to the left. 5 more seconds on this one. Okay, let's tap out to the right. And again, just take it to wherever feels comfortable. If you suffer with any joint problems, any hip or knee or back problems, just take it to whatever feels comfortable for you. You don't have to overstretch on any of these exercises. Keeping those feet moving at all times. And then after this one, we're going to go back into the march, but we're just going to swing the arms a little bit more. Okay, so let's take it back into the march, and we're just adding a little swing with the arms now. And if at any point during the exercises you feel a little bit off balance, just keep a dining chair or something beside you that you can hold on to if you feel a little bit wobbly. Keep a bottle of water close by as well and have a sip whenever you need to. And just keeping that march going. So in 15 seconds, we're going to slow the march down just a little bit because we're going to add the arms in as well. So we're going to do a few shoulder rolls. Okay, so we're just going to take that pace down so we can get the arms moving, and we're going to roll the shoulders backwards. So let's do 5 big rolls backwards. Okay, and 1 more backwards. And then let's take them forwards. Okay, and then let's go backwards again, 5 big rolls backwards. Okay, and 5 forwards. It's a bit hard to coordinate this one at the same time. Okay, fab. Keeping that march going now, we're going to take the arms into a chest press. So we're going to bring the hands up to the shoulders and push forwards and bring them backwards. Okay, so we're going to do that whilst keeping the feet moving. Like I say, no weights involved in this one. Just gradually moving the arms and the legs at the same time. And you should feel now, as the warm-up's going on, that your heart rate's increased a little bit, you feel a little bit warmer, but you shouldn't be out of breath at this point. Just taking this march to whatever pace you feel comfortable and whatever pace allows you to get the arms moving as well. Okay, and then in a moment, we're going to turn the arms into a bicep curl. Okay, so keeping the feet moving at the same time, we're going to bring the arms down and now we're going to curl them up. So imagining you're trying to touch your shoulder with your hands. Again, no weights for this, just bending the arms at the elbow. None of these exercises should cause any pain. If you do have any problems or any concerns, please stop what you're doing, sit yourself down, keep your feet moving, and always contact the cardiac rehab team if you're having any problems. So we're almost at the end of the warm-up now. We're going to keep the arms moving, but we're going to take them out into a side raise this time. Okay, so keeping the feet moving, we're going to take the arms down to the side now and we're going to raise them and lower them. So we're just raising them to shoulder height and back down again. We're not holding them up there, we're just moving them up and down. If you struggle with your shoulder mobility and you can't get your arms up so high, then just take it to a lower movement. Trying to keep the feet moving at the same time if we can do. Okay, another 30 seconds and then we're almost done with the warm-up. Okay, so we're going to bring the arms back down now and we're just going to do a few wrist rotations. So we'll do a few one way and then a few the other. Okay, then we're going to do the same with the ankles, but hold on to something whilst you're doing this. So we'll do 5 rotations on the right ankle. Okay, and then we'll go the opposite way. And then same with the left ankle, 5 in each direction. And then opposite way. Fab. Okay, so we should be all warmed up now and ready for some exercise. So like I say, the circuit that we're going to do 10 exercises for 1 minute each, and we're going to have a 20-second rest in between. And in that rest period, I'm going to explain to you what your next exercise is. So before we start, then the first exercise is going to be a sit to stand. So all you need for this is a dining chair. And we're going to sit down on the chair, feet hip distance apart. And I want you to sit nice and upright for this one. If we can get the arms across the chest, that's where we're going to start. And all I want you to do is from this seated position, push your way through to standing and then back down again, okay? So your heels are staying flat on the floor, we're not lifting the heels up. You're keeping your body, your chest and your head nice and upright. And all of that weight is going through the legs and through the heels. If you need to do it with your hands on your legs, that's fine, but ideally try and do it with the arms up here, so it's putting more emphasis on the leg muscles. Okay, so that's the first exercise. So take this as fast or as slow as you like. If it's feeling difficult, slow the exercise down a little. So I'm going to get the timer on and we'll get started for 1 minute on each exercise. Okay, so let's begin then. Feet hip distance apart, hands across the chest. And we're pushing up and down through those legs. Keeping the chest nice and upright. If you have your elbows upwards, that means that you have a tendency to keep your chest and your head more upright. If you bring them down, you can have a tendency to fall forwards. So for this one, we want to try and keep you nice and upright rather than bending. We want to avoid bending as we're standing up. You're keeping your heels tucked in to the chair so your legs aren't too far away from you. And they're just hip distance apart, so you've got a nice sturdy base. We've got another 15 seconds, and then we're into the first rest. Okay, and there's your first rest period. Now when we're resting, we want to just keep the toes tapping or the heels tapping or a little march going. We don't want to stop all of a sudden. That can cause you to feel a little bit faint or a little bit dizzy. So always, if you need to stop, keep the toes tapping. So next exercise we're going to start now is a bicep curl. So we're curling the arms up and down, but we've now included the weights. And if we can, we're just going to tap the heels as we're doing this. So we're not really moving the legs too much, but we're just getting them moving a little bit, so we're not stood still. And as we're doing this, we're just bringing that weight up to the shoulder and taking it back down again. We're not swinging it all the way behind. We're stopping when the arms get level with the body. Okay, so we're not taking it all the way back here and bringing it up like that. It's just a small movement where the top part of the arm stays still and it's just the bottom part of the arm that's moving up and down. If you struggle to keep your feet moving, just keep your toes wiggling inside your shoes. We've got 5 more seconds on this one. Okay, so we're into the next rest then. So keep those toes tapping, feet moving. And the next exercise we're going to do is a knee raise. So for this one, hands are going to go on the chair. We're going to raise the knees and lower them down. Okay, so we're going to start in 2 seconds. Let's go. Let's start with the right knee, just raising to wherever you feel comfortable. You haven't got to raise it too high. Just take it to the level that you feel comfortable at. And we're alternating the legs. Make sure you've got a nice sturdy base when you're planting that foot back down on the floor. If you want to do this without holding onto the chair, that's absolutely fine. If you're a little bit wobbly or you feel like you need a little bit more support, then use the back of the chair to hold onto. And again, as with all of these exercises, you can take the intensity up a little by increasing the speed. We've got another 10 seconds on this one, and then we're back into the rest. Okay, 3 seconds. And we're back into the next rest. So keeping those toes tapping again, or a little march going. And I'm going to demonstrate the next one. Okay, so we're going to do a side raise, like we did when we warmed up, but we can add a weight into this if you wish to. So we're going to take the arms up and down in 2 seconds. Let's start. So we're going to go up and down, raising and lowering those arms. Again, we're not holding them up there, we're not tensing the arms, we're just moving them nice and steadily through that movement. And if we can, we're keeping the feet moving at the same time. Again, if you don't wish to use a weight for these, you don't have to. But if you have them and you want to use them, then by all means do so. With these, you don't need to go any higher than shoulder height. And again, if you struggle with the mobility in your shoulders, take them down a little. Okay, we're almost there on this one. And we're back into that next rest period. Okay. So keeping those toes tapping, feet moving. Okay, so the next one we're going to do a side tap, like we did in the warm-up, but we're going to try and take that out just a little bit further with a little bit of a bounce. Okay. So let's begin. Tapping out and back in. If you do wish to make this just a little bit harder, you can add a little reach into it as well if you wish to. But if not, just taking the toes out, that's absolutely fine right now. And we're just picking the pace up a little bit from when we warmed up. Okay, we're keeping those feet tapping, keeping that breathing throughout. Don't hold your breath on any of these exercises. Okay, we're back into that rest again, so keeping the feet moving. Taking those deep breaths, having a sip of water if needed. And the next one we're going to do is a chest press, but we're going to add the tins of beans in if we can do. So bringing the arms up to shoulder height, pushing forwards and bringing back in, nice and steadily. Okay, let's go. So hands go out and back in. Again, if you can keep your feet moving, do so, or if you keep your toes wiggling inside your trainers as you're doing this one. Okay, so again, we're not holding them out for too long, we're just taking them out and back in. It's a little bit more difficult to coordinate this one as you're moving your feet. So like I say, do whichever feels comfortable to you. Move the heels or the toes, or wiggle the toes inside the trainers. And what we want to avoid at any time is just standing still. Like I say, we want to keep the toes moving just to keep that blood going, prevent you from feeling faint. Okay, keeping those arms going out and back in. If it gets too heavy with the weight, take the weight out of it, drop the weight down and do it without the weights. Okay, and we're back into the next rest then. So, keeping that march going, toes moving. And for the next one, we're going to go back into a march, okay? But we're going to start driving the arms a little bit on this one. So we're lifting the arms up a bit more and lifting the knees up a bit more. Okay, off we go. So we're going up and down and swinging the arms slightly. Breathing at all times, not holding that breath. We're over halfway now on this one, and you've almost done your first session. So taking that pace to whatever feels comfortable for you. If it's too difficult to march fast, march a bit slower. If you need to bring the pace or the intensity down a bit, or you need to bring the arms and the knees down, that's fine. If we can do, we'll just pick up the pace a little. Okay, we're back into that next rest. So we're just moving those toes, breathing deeply, having a sip of water. Okay, so next one then, we're going to add the weights if you wish to, and we're going to go into an upright row. Elbows poking out to the sides, weights and hands into the body. Off we go. So as we lift up, we poke the elbows out to the side, so we're not lifting like that. We're taking the elbows all the way up. And again, we're keeping the toes moving inside those trainers. So you probably can't see it, but my toes are wiggling right now. Up and down with the arms. And again, if you don't wish to use the weights, that's fine. You can do all of these without the weights. If you do them without the weights for a few sessions and it becomes easy, then add the weights in next time. And again, breathing nice and relaxed through all of these exercises. If you get into a point where you can't hold a conversation because you're too out of breath, then slow down, keep the toes wiggling, but have a rest and catch your breath. Okay, we'll pop those down and we're back into the next rest. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to do a shuttle walk. So instead of marching on the spot, we're going to move backwards and forwards. If you haven't got much space, stick with the march on the spot. Okay, so I'm going to go left to right, and I'm just going to take it at a pace that feels comfortable for me. If you can go a little bit quicker, try and up the pace a little bit. If you need something to hold on to, you might want to walk up and down the length of a table, and then you can hold on to the table for a bit of balance and support. Equally, if you've got a nice long hallway or living room, you might want to walk up and down there so you've got a bit further to walk. Or outside in your garden would be perfectly fine. Keeping that walk going. If you get dizzy at any point, slow it down and take it to a march on the spot. We're almost there. Okay, and then we're back onto that rest period. Tapping the toes, having a sip of water, catching that breath. Final one then, we're going to go for a side bend. So we're going to keep feet hip distance apart and hold the weights in the hands, and we're simply going to bend down a little bit to one side and a bit to the other. Okay, so let's start with the right side, taking the weight down, bringing it back up. Let's do the same with the left side. Okay, so we're taking it down just to wherever's comfortable, and you're not leaning forwards on this one. You're keeping your body nice and upright, keeping your core engaged, and just taking that arm down and back up again. Down and back up. So you're not moving down to the other side until you're back up in that central position. Again, if you don't want to use the weights for this, you can do this without the weights. And we're almost done. Keeping that going. Fab. So we're going to pop the weights down, and that's the first session done. So it's really important now that we do a nice steady cool down. So opposite of the warm up, we want to bring the heart rate down nice and gradually now, prevent any dizziness or any fainting after exercise. Okay, so let's start then with the heel digs like we did when we warmed up. We're just going to tap the heels forwards and backwards. And it's really important when you finish any kind of exercise session that you have a good cool down at the end of it. And throughout the cool down, we'll gradually decrease the pace. So again, we don't want to use any weights for the cool down. We're just taking it down nice and steadily. Keeping those toes and the heels moving. And again, at any point during any of the exercises, if ever you feel any chest discomfort, stop what you're doing, sit down, keep your feet moving, and follow the correct protocols if you need to use your GTN. Okay, we're keeping those heels tapping, and in a moment, we're going to take it into the side tap. Okay, so let's go out with the right toe and out with the left. Now, if session 1 was too easy, move straight on to session 2. If you were finding that those RPE scores for most of those exercises were below 13, move on to session 2. If you found that that was comfortable for you and you felt like you were working at that point, then stick with this one for a few more sessions until you feel comfortable, and then move on to session 2. keeping those toes tapping. And in a moment, we're going to go back into a march on the spot. Okay, so we're going to take it back into a march, just a gentle swing of the arms. So we're not marching quite as fast or as intense as we were during the workout. If you did that workout minus the weights and you found it quite easy, then next time do the same workout but add some weights in. Keeping that march going. So we're not stopping all of a sudden, we're winding it down nice and gently. And then we're going to repeat those 3 exercises again. So we're going to go back into the heel digs in just a moment. Okay, so starting with the right heel, let's tap it forwards. And we're just bringing that pace down a little bit now. Just tap into wherever feels comfortable, you haven't got to overstretch. If you've moved on from the seated circuit to the standing circuit and you found that any of that was difficult, you can switch it up a bit and do some seated and some standing if that works for you. Keeping those heels tapping. In a moment, we're going to go back to the side taps. Okay, so we're going to tap out with the right toe and out with the left. Again, we're just keeping that pace nice and steady now. This should feel nice and comfortable. Warming up and cooling down, we want the RPE around 11, so it's quite light at this point. We'll keep this going and then we'll go back into the march and we'll gradually just start moving the arms. Okay, so in a moment, let's take it back into a march. Just nice and steady on the spot, just a slight swing of the arms. And cooling down equally as important as warming up, particularly if you're taking any particular cardiac medications, things like beta blockers or ACE inhibitors. It'll prevent you from feeling dizzy or faint after exercising. It's designed to bring your heart rate and your blood pressure down steadily. And get rid of any adrenaline as well and prevent any problems with dodgy rhythms. So it's really, really important that we cool down. So just keeping that march going, just nice and light. If at any point when you're warming up or you're cooling down and it feels too difficult, sit yourself down and do it seated. Or slow the pace down if needed. Okay, so we're just going to now take that march down a little bit slower and we're going to start rolling the shoulders. So let's do 5 shoulder rolls backwards. That's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now let's go 5 forwards. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to do both of those again. So let's go 5 backwards. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Final time, let's go forwards. That's 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. One last one. That's 5. Okay, so we're just keeping those feet moving, and we're going to do a few side raises. So we're just going to take the arms up and down. So we're not taking them as high as we did when we were exercising, and we're not using any weights for this. We're simply just moving the arms up and down. Trying to keep the feet moving if we can do, or if not, keep the toes wiggling inside the shoes. And we're almost done. Okay, we're almost there, and we're going to go for some wrist rotations. Okay, so we'll take the arms back down now, and we're just keeping the feet moving ever so slightly now, so we're not marching on the spot, we're just having a little wiggle of the toes. So let's go round with the wrists now. I'm trying to keep my feet moving a little bit. Okay, and let's go the other way with the wrists. Okay, same with the ankles. Again, hold on to something if you need to. We don't want anybody wobbling over. Let's start with the right ankle. We'll go 5 one way. And 5 the other way. A few clicks or cracks don't matter as long as it's not painful. It's just a bit of air escaping out of the joints. Okay, and we'll change feet. But if it's painful, put the feet down and have a rest at this point. Okay, and then opposite direction. Perfect, and we're all done. So that was session 1. Like I say, if that was too easy, move straight on to the next session. The sessions are designed to progress on from one another, and you might find that some are a little bit easy, but you'll get to a point where you feel that that's the right level for you. When you're RPing around 13 to 14, you feel like you're doing something during the workout and it's not too easy. So hope you've enjoyed that first one. Like I say, if you want to move on to the next one, great. If not, stick with this one for a few more times. Thank you.